If you've been struggling with anxiety, today you may want to listen in because I'm going to teach you how to use anxiety to your advantage. Here's the good news. You don't have to pretend it doesn't exist. I'm going to share with you in this episode how to make friends with your anxiety so that it can help you breathe easier and live lighter. Do you love God but still feel anxious or overwhelmed? Have people or experiences shaken your ability to trust? Have you tried to pray harder, push through, or think differently, but still feel stuck? Would you like to finally be able to calm your mind and emotions? I've been there. I struggled for years with anxiety, intrusive thoughts, and feeling like I was failing spiritually when I wasn't actually at fault at all. I was simply experiencing the effects of trauma in my nervous system. Now, as a licensed professional counselor and certified EMDR therapist, I help other Christian women to understand and process what's happening to them so that they can experience the healing that Jesus provides through good therapy. That can be a miracle too. Welcome to Trauma Healing for Christian Women. I'm Michelle Croyle, and I'm here to tell you that you're not failing, you're wounded, and wounds can heal. So grab your favorite beverage, a notebook and pen, and take a deep, relaxing breath because you're about to be refreshed. Let's get started. So I'll never forget this time when my daughter, my youngest, was about 6 years old and we were in the grocery store. And there was a child having a huge meltdown. And my daughter just kind of looked up at me like with wonder, like, why is that kid misbehaving so much? And I remember just telling her, yeah, you're behaving really well. And we just went on about our day because she couldn't understand why a kid would need to have that much of a meltdown. And the reason that she didn't understand that isn't because she didn't have overwhelming feelings at times. We all do. But because we didn't really handle it the way a lot of parents handle it. A lot of times parents will try to outshout their kids or to shame them into being quiet or to punish them out of it or take them out of the store. And I think there's a better way. And the way that we did it, not that it's the thing that everybody has to do, but it did seem to work for us, was to be able to say, hey, here's what I hear you saying, and here's how I understand you, and here's what we can do about it or what we can't do about it, and here are our options, right? And so you can't rationalize with a young kid, but you can attune to them. So you might say something like, instead of, shut up or I'll give you something to scream about, you might instead say, tell me what's upsetting you. Is it because you can't get the popsicle or you can't get the cookie? Right? Try to give them a framework for, hey, I'm hearing you. I can tell you're disturbed. Let's figure out what it is that you're trying to tell me in a way that I can better understand you. And then maybe I can help solve that problem alongside of you. Right? And so then it becomes this collaborative thing. So if, for instance, a child really wants a cookie and they're screaming for that cookie and you say, hey, I know you really want that cookie, and I'd love to give it to you, but as your mom, I have to make sure that you eat some really healthy stuff first. Would you like to have a carrot or a banana? And after that, you can have a cookie. Okay, just an example. But do you see how then the child's nervous system doesn't have to keep screaming louder and louder to say, Mommy, I need attention. It can just simply go, oh, she's working with me. I can calm down now. I can get my needs met. Well, that's the type of thing that we're going to talk about with when your nervous system screams, right? It's just like that. If you ignore it or you shame it or you blame it or you try to, say, go away, your nervous system is going to scream louder. And when it feels anxious and has that anxiety, what it really needs is to actually be met where it is with compassion, with understanding, and with collaboration. Because if you can do that, then your nervous system doesn't have to scream louder. It doesn't have to disrupt the whole grocery store, so to speak. It can just kind of calmly know, oh, hey, We're working together. You've got my back. There's no need for us to have a big scene. Kind of like when my young daughter just kind of looked up like, well, why are they handling it that way? Right. And I love that look of confusion on her face. It was just like, I don't understand that. Why would that be necessary? And so that's kind of how it is when we try to ignore our nervous systems, ignore our anxiety, ignore our negative feelings, and then they get louder, or the intrusive thoughts get more intense, or the anger or the shame gets overwhelming, or whatever it is, because it's coming out of proportion because we're not really collaborating with it. We're not understanding it. We're not coming alongside of it and saying, hey, I'll help you. I hear there's something that you're trying to communicate with me. Let's figure this out together. And when we can collaborate like that, it can settle down. Your nervous system can rest because it knows all the bases are covered. And so if your nervous system is trying to scream to be heard by giving you panic attacks or having lots of anxiety or fear, I want you to know that you can work with it, just like you can work with a kid who's trying to tell you something. It may not have the most sophisticated language. Your nervous system may be putting all of these impulses through your body so that you physically feel uncomfortable, or you emotionally feel not at rest, or your mind starts racing, or whatever. Those are kind of the symptoms of it trying to communicate, and sometimes they elevate like a temper tantrum. And when you can say, hey, I see you. When your wise mind self, that real self that can be grounded and go, my system is activated. It's trying to tell me something. And you can make friends with your nervous system is going to start working alongside of you so that it will be able to relax. It won't have to scream so loudly. Now, there are some times where our nervous systems are so outside of regulation that maybe medication could be helpful, and that's something to talk to your doctor about. There might be some other causes physically or situationally or mental health diagnoses where, there's more to it. But I'm talking about in general when you're feeling disturbance and you really wish you weren't, and you're trying to do everything you can to just go about normal life, and it's not really easy. So I'm going to give you tips about that. The first thing that you can do is to just notice that your system is communicating and that God gave you that system. And so it's not doing anything wrong by trying to communicate with you. It's not doing anything wrong by trying to give you indicators of what it's trying to communicate. And then when you think about your spiritual circles, the next tip here is, if your spiritual circle is trying to say you should only do the spiritual, forget the physical, you're missing out on an important concept biblically, which is that God made the whole human body, and God said his creation is good. So we want to know that the way God made the body is good. So we can pay attention to it, and we can know that God designed it, and that can be really helpful because then we're not at odds with it. We're just aware of it. And when we're aware of it, then we can recognize that the information that we're getting from it is in some way trying to help us for safety or survival. Now, whether that's always helpful or not remains to be seen, but the fact that your system is working hard to protect you in some way can be trusted, that it is definitely trying to do that. Now, again, how it shows up may be unpleasant, or how you interpret what it's trying to tell you, and what you do with it can be helpful or not. But the fact that it's communicating with you gives you information that is trying, at least in intent, to keep you safe and surviving. And then the next one is that paying attention does not mean that you're validating it. It doesn't mean that it's giving you completely accurate information and you should act on it to the intensity that your nervous system is causing anxiety, right? If you're having a panic attack, that does not mean that you need to go and run into some underground bunker because there's some danger happening. There may be absolutely no danger except for the feeling of panic in your system. And so you don't need to let it run amok, but you can validate that it's telling you something. So it's not necessarily validating that it's giving you accurate information, but it may be validated in the sense that it is giving you information and it's trying to help you because God designed your body and He designed it to try to keep you safe and give you information so that you can steward your life well. So with those tips about how to look at the nervous system in the body as a groundwork, a solid foundation, I want to give you 5 tips that can help you to work better with your body. Because when you know that your body is starting to give you information, especially with anxiety, and you know that you would really like it not to take over, not to make you miserable, not to get too loud and unruly, but to actually be able to give you information that's helpful, and then you to be able to manage it and get regulated and feel more comfortable in your system and in your relationship with all parts of yourself. It really does help to relax the nervous system and your anxiety. So the first tip is that you can talk to yourself. And I want you to get used to talking to yourself out loud. It doesn't mean that you're losing your mind. It doesn't mean that you're crazy. It simply means that you're using the language center of your brain, that you're using the logic part of your brain, and that you are saying, I am taking a physical action with my body to allow me to logically, intentionally, with words, put out the fire. And so you might say something like, hey, self, I notice we are feeling very anxious, and I appreciate you trying to alert me in case there's danger. However, I have done what I need to keep myself safe from harm. And there is no harm here. I'm safe. I removed myself from the situation, or I parked the car, or I turned off the oven, or whatever it's trying to alert you to. And even though we still feel upset, I am okay. And I'd like you to relax because you're going a little bit overboard. And I've already heard you. This helps because then you're using that different part of your brain and the words than the part of the brain that actually produces that fear and anxiety. And so it helps you to regain a sense of control, a sense of logic, and that helps your system to feel safer. It also allows that nervous system to relax more because it goes, okay, you heard me. I don't need to scream and cry and carry on. You are paying attention to me and we're working together now. So that collaboration really helps you to feel in control, regulated, to hear what's going on and remind yourself that you can pay attention to yourself and not be at odds, not have one part of you bullying the other part of you, but having all parts being able to collaborate together and make wise choices. And that can be very comforting. The second thing is good old breath work. So if you want to calm exaggerated anxiety or panic, slow down your breathing. I can almost guarantee that if you are in that kind of fight or flight feeling, or your mind is racing, your body just feels so anxious and on edge, slowing down your breathing is often likely to help. That if you exaggerate the exhale, so you take a deep breath in, and when you exhale, you exaggerate it, lengthen it, just stretch it all the way out. That really helps. But when you inhale, also, if you can hold it at the top of your breath and then do that exaggerated, lengthened exhale, it really helps you to slow it down and it helps your system to recalibrate. Number 3 is to physically ground yourself in the present moment. Notice what your senses can see, feel, touch, what the temperature is, what colors are, what shapes are. how things are spelled, how many there are, describe any details of anything. Just get into the logic center of your brain, into the words, into the descriptions, into the feelings, the sensations. Again, anything that you can do to get in touch with the physical presence around you, such as I feel the carpet under my feet. It feels lukewarm. It feels soft. It looks gray. How do we spell gray? Grey or Gray? How many letters are in the word gray? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 letters in the word gray. 4 letters in the word gray. And how many rooms in my house have gray carpet? I will count those. Okay, what if I take how many rooms have gray carpet and the number of letters in gray and add those together? Oh, 8. How do we spell the number 8? Eight. Do you see how, while I could just go on, and I do this with clients a lot when they get dissociated in session, when they feel like, uh-oh, I don't know what just hit me, but something kind of overtook me and I feel a little bit disoriented. I will do things like that, like have them count the number of letters in their first name and divide it by the number of letters in their second name and count how many circular objects are on the wall and add that to the number of blue objects they see in the room, right? Anything that gets you into that thinking brain or into your observation brain, into your felt physical brain, your descriptive brain is going to help get you out of that fight or flight situation that's in your nervous system. Number 4 is to take your worries to the Lord. So just be honest with God. You don't have to pretend that you're not feeling what you're feeling. Let Him know honestly what you're feeling and name your feelings. That also helps you to get control over them. So name what you're feeling, tell the Lord what you're feeling, and ask Him for His help. And then leave it at His feet. And you can do that, one, by just, Lord, I give this to you and I ask you to help. And also, you can do that by finding a scripture that counters that, right? So if you're feeling fearful, God has not given me a spirit of fear, but of love and of power and a sound mind, right? You come in and you replace it with scripture truth, but you're also not denying the fact that your system feels that way. You're taking it to the Lord and asking the Lord for His help and then laying it at His feet. And number 5 that you can do to help work with your nervous system, make friends with your anxiety, is to just control what you can control and let go of what you can't. So if your nervous system is indicating, I'm anxious because I have a big presentation at work today, what can I control and what can't I? I can't control whether people like my presentation or not. I can control whether I practice my speech, and then do that one thing that you can control that can make the biggest difference. The more prepared you are can help you to feel more in control and can release your anxiety. Or the way you think about things, instead of, oh my gosh, this has to be so good, say, I will do my best and will let the results be what they may. It helps your nervous system to realize that you don't have to fear the outcomes and the devastating possible catastrophes that could happen if things don't go well. You just stay with what is in your control. And again, you can offer it up to God, ask Him to be there, and ask Him to take care of the outcome. But you choose the one thing that you can do that'll make the biggest difference. And that might be practicing that speech. Or if you're afraid of what might happen on a road trip, maybe you say, what's the one thing I can do? I can pray over the car for safety and make sure we have enough gas in the tank, right? I know that's 2 things, but the prayer kind of can go with anything. So I hope this was helpful today. I want you to realize that you have more power over your nervous system and your feelings than your nervous system and feelings might make you feel like you do. And so when you can realize that you can make choices, but you may need to work with your system so that your system will allow you to take back that control in the part of your brain that allows you to use logic, that allows you to focus, that allows you to make decisions that are more helpful for you, that's more of the way to go about it. Making friends with your nervous system means anxiety can be something that is of service to you, not something that takes you out. If you are looking for therapy with a therapist who is a Christian and understands deep trauma healing work, anxiety and nervous system work, I would love the opportunity to talk with you about what's going on in your world and see if we might be a good fit to work together. I'm in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, but I can work with anybody who is in Pennsylvania or willing to travel to Pennsylvania, according to my license. And I would love to have the opportunity to talk with you and do a therapeutic intensive with you if that is something that you're looking for. So basically, that is working together over the period of 1 to 3 days for several hours at a time. So you don't have to do this weekly therapy for weeks on end. We could go after your pain points, do some deep EMDR processing, as well as some parts work and body experience. I'll explain the whole thing to you, but there's this way to go deeper, faster, and to get healing sooner. And if you're interested in that, I invite you to go into the show notes and click to do a free consultation with me. I offer a free 15-minute phone call where we can connect and see if it might be a good fit for your needs to work together. The content that you heard today is for educational and informational purposes only. It is not to replace professional therapy and is not to be considered a professional therapeutic relationship. If you would like to work with me, please reach out through the contact link in the show notes. I'd love to hear your story. And if you liked what you heard today and would like to share it with somebody or leave a rating and review, we greatly appreciate it so others can listen in too.